What's up, everybody? Okay, really quickly, I was catching this review of the Fresh and Fit podcast. They were arguing with a young lady who obviously is Christian about the topic of whether or not men and women can be promiscuous. And obviously, Myron from Fresh and Fit argues that promiscuity for men is different than promiscuity for women. And he didn't want a biblical perspective about it. He lied and said that there's a biological reason for this. But he can't really articulate what that biological reason is. Let me see.
These points is kind of pointless.
But let me go skip through.
Anything else? In either of our religions. So I don't know why you're bringing that up.
I know you say you weren't religious. But I'm just
so
saying
why the fuck? Because we're not the ones ending them regardless of our body count. But women definitely are ending them.
Yet I will hold you responsible.
Okay. Women that have high body counts typically don't do well in relationships. Men can have high body counts and be fine in relationships because we're not the ones ending them regardless of our body count. But women definitely.
Okay, so his arguments are just really fallacious, all over the place, and nonsensical. At the end of the day, if Myron were to be honest, right, he would probably tell you that even guys like him who think this way, where I can have all this sex with all these women, his sexual performance is probably getting weaker and weaker and weaker the more he has sex with different women and different energies. Every time you have sex with somebody, you are giving a piece of your energy to that person. In exchange, you are taking a piece of their energy away from them, right? And so what happens is every time he has sex with a different face in a different way, a different personality, and these are just constant cycles of different women that he's sharing his body with, right? The mental disposition of men after a while is that it's not pleasurable, right? It's almost like your brain catalogs so much of this one thing. You've reached your action potential, and then once you reach that action potential, you have to wait until it kind of calms down for you to be able to get excited again. But if you keep that action potential just high, what happens is it gets stagnant, right? And it may go down eventually, right? Depending on if you're not, you chill out having sex, right? But the moment that you have sex again, you're not going to peak your action potential anymore. Like, the more you have sex promiscuously, your action potential literally lowers each and every time for your peak. So that means that your sex game is getting weaker and weaker and weaker, because even though sex is a physical pleasure thing, it's also a psychological pleasure. So while he's arguing that men are able to have sex biologically more than women and promiscuity is acceptable for them, it really isn't. Because there are plenty of men, young men, with erectile dysfunction. You look at a lot of these guys in their early 30s, mid 30s, they've had so much sex that their thing is like a dish rag. They can't even hardly get it up, because when they want to have meaningful sex with somebody, they can't, because they're so used to their action potentials coming from meaningless sex. And over time, sex becomes less and less enjoyable, even if you want to do it. Even if you have that urge to do it, it's not the same. And if he's being honest, and if you survey a bunch of guys in their early 30s, mid 30s, and they've had a lot of sex, they're probably very horrible in bed. They have a hard time really getting peak erection, right? And it's almost like they have a hard time coming. And it's not because, and they try to make it seem like, it's the woman, but it's really not the woman. It really is them. They can't come because they've come so many times that it's like, it's kind of hard to describe, but sex is psychological. And the more you catalog different experiences with sex, you become, your peak is just, you become overloaded. It's literally like mental overload. And I think that he's like, I think that, I think ultimately with guys like these people they're like psyops, is they're trying to, really make men view women, as objects, right? Um, and obviously this is clear objectification of women, right? Um, but they're also, convincing men that, if you get to this certain level of wealth, then it is acceptable for you. Like, you should be promiscuous. Like, this is what they are encouraging men to do. And so, that's the beta male. That this is how you know that this podcast is full of beta men who learned how to make money, right? But that doesn't necessarily make you an alpha male, nor does it make you a valuable person. When you think about the top societal values, right? Looks, right? Both of those guys are like average, below average at best, right? They know that, right? They probably know that they weren't the lookers. They were probably weird. They probably never got the girls that they wanted until they started making money. Now, I usually exclude wealth from the 5 societal values, and I'll get back to why it's that. But the 5 societal values, beauty, right? So everybody has a beauty bias, right? You walk by, if you're an attractive person all your life, because you know people see you, they try to holler at you, whatever, right? There's some people that don't get that. They never get it, or they never get it from the people that they want to get it from, right? So there's that insecurity that creep in, that maybe I'm not this social value of beauty, right? So if you don't have beauties, you gotta have brains, right? You have to be smart, right? These guys are fake smart, right? These guys are psyop smart, right? They try to create these convoluted ideas and formulate them into what they believe is logic, right? And then they're delivering them to a bunch of lemming beta male audience, mostly, who's just eating it up all. Yeah, I'm a man. What makes me a man is being able to fuck a lot of women. It's like, no, bro, what makes you a real man is finding one woman and being able to satisfy her for the rest of your damn lives. But they're not going to teach you that, because they're teaching you how to be male whores and evaluate yourselves by the women that you sleep, the amount of women that you sleep with, and how much money that you have. But getting back, if you don't have brains, obviously you have to have ingenuity, right? You have to be an engineer or be able to create something profound that people find valuable in society, right? And they want to buy into constantly, right? So these guys started this podcast, right? And so they're like, we created this, we started this, blah, blah, blah. So it's all of these sort of fake, values that Satan kind of places on these beta type of people, where they believe that, I got, Myron, I saw his hairline transition, so stop playing with us. We know you was insecure once upon a time, but you got, you know, broken beauty, right? Money's going to make me beautiful. Money's going to make me desirable to other people, right? So if you can't create something, ingenuity, right, you have to have agility. Neither one of these dudes look like they could just kick ass in sport. Maybe they do, who knows, but they're probably not competitive. People aren't going to go play and watch either one of these guys, right? So, and I'm looking at my computer screen when I'm pointing to them too. So if you don't have agility, right, you have to have a dynamic personality. You have to be funny. These guys are obnoxious. They're not funny. They're obnoxious. They're rude. And in today's society, people tend to conflate obnoxious with funny, right? George Carlin is funny. Richard Pryor is funny. Eddie Murphy is funny. These guys are not funny. These guys are obnoxious. They're rude. And people tend to conflate those things with being funny, and it's not. they're roasting, being rude, and some of the stuff that they say is just really ridiculous. It's just, all you can do is just cringe or roll your eyes. But getting back, these guys, obviously, to me, these are just human demons, and you can tell when these people who are riddled with these evil spirits, because when you start talking about the word of God, it irritates the demons inside of them. Myron went off on this girl a couple of times who called into their show, and he even told her, fuck the Bible, fuck this, and it was one of those things where, like, this man clearly does not have any self-control. And to me, if you're a reasonable, logical man, why would you be listening to another man who clearly can't control himself? There's a demonstration that maybe there's something wrong with you if you're tuning into Fresh and Fit, because you want to see these beta men, these fake alpha men, roast women, right? So again, the red pill space, I mean, there's a lot of Christians that tune in to these red pill spaces. They have these barbaric ideas of how men and women are supposed to, behave and be, and judgment. We're all going to be judged, man and woman. And at the end of the day, regardless of what your faith is, but if you're a believer, you already know that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, we're going to be judged by our deeds. We're going to be judged by our deeds. We're going to be judged by the things that we say and we encourage people to do. So these guys, if you're a Christian, you better be staying away from them. Like, you better lead them to the Muslims or whatnot, because we don't want them kind of problems when we're ready to get judged. Like, we really don't. So you guys have a wonderful Sunday. I am going to probably try to go back to sleep. I'm up. I'm probably going to watch a movie until I fall back to sleep. And I will catch you on my next one. Bye. Oh, and I hope you guys had enjoyed your, the commercial holiday that we know is Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, I hope you enjoy your family. I like holiday season. I don't necessarily support or observe holidays like that, but I do like the season because it's like, okay, the year's unwinding. You can kind of just relax, regroup, re-strategize, figure out what your next year is going to look like, how you're going to tackle it to be successful. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. This was a crappy year for me, just because I've been banned. I've been restricted from social platforms. And any of you who follow my content, I'm not an inflammatory person. I'm not a fire starter. I don't say stuff for clicks. I just speak my mind. And yet the devil and his cyber demons, they do not like people like me. So I need you to support by liking, sharing, and engaging with this content, because I'm being shadow banned everywhere. Even Twitter try to make sure that I don't be on anybody's radar. Google is kind of giving me love, so I have faith in Google, possibly a little bit. So we'll see. But you guys have a good day. Bye.